I'm Belle, and I want to talk about my journey with autism and being diagnosed, dual diagnosed as a child with having autism and being deaf. Now, this was in the 70s, so a lot has changed, and a lot has still not changed or still hasn't changed. So, I'll just refer to my notes to keep me on track. And this will be a part of a series of videos about autism. So I thought I'd begin just with my journey to provide some authenticity, um, sharing with you that I am legitimately someone that has walked this path, and also so that you would know that I can relate to you or your children. This video is primarily for parents um, and caretakers of children with autism to give you some insight. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have children that can communicate very well with you about what they're going through, from them, not from the therapist or from school officials or school teachers or any third parties, but just from them, that is great. But there are some children with autism that are not able to communicate what they're feeling, um, their struggles, their sensitivities, exactly what they're feeling. Sometimes they can even be confused themselves, so how can they express it to you? So I'm hoping to give you a little bit of insight from what I can remember as a child, growing with it. And also I'll try to focus, like separate, for those that are adults, to relate to what you're going through as an adult as well. So, but for now, this one will probably be more so helpful for children because I'm going to focus on how I started out. Okay, so yeah, I was dual diagnosed with being autistic and deaf. I think the deaf part came in because they really didn't understand autism that much at that time. I was in the second grade, and I just remember, teachers being confused. Why isn't she responding in class? She's just looking out the window, and we've been calling her name. Um, she doesn't talk to the other children. She's just pretty much a loner. And then they started hearing tests, and that's when it was determined that I was deaf. And that was in second grade. I believe they changed it, or maybe because I started to respond and open up at some point. Maybe I think third grade, like a year later, I started to respond to verbal communication. And yeah, that part, I'm not sure exactly how that came about, when or why they changed the diagnosis to just an unorthodox way of learning, and I believe autism and slight dyslexia. So anyway, um, the reactions from my family, pretty much I think everybody was surprised that there was a diagnosis when they just probably felt like, oh, she's different. They knew I was different, of course, but they figured, oh, she's just quiet. Um, oh, Belle's just a good girl. And she doesn't complain. She doesn't say much. She's just, perfectly well behaved. Not realizing that there was an issue until the school special education uh, department addressed, the situation, or at least tried to start to test me. And there were lots of tests. It seems like in school I was having more tests than anything else in the beginning, which was, I had to deal with that patiently, but especially then, again, because they didn't know much about learning disabilities. So, yeah. So basically, I know things are different today. I've had the opportunity to teach as well, um, on a part-time basis in some special education settings. And I do see that with the technology and tools, things have advanced. Like children can communicate better using devices and aids. So that's awesome. It's much better now for them. However, even with all the tools and aids in the world, there's still an emotional part that I think you still have struggles with being different no matter what. You still have to cope with being sensitive to, especially the sensory part. When you're in a setting, you can be overwhelmed by lights, sounds, smells. For me, smells was really my major issue. I could not eat in the cafeteria at lunch because all those different smells and people just in one place, and it was in a gymnasium too, so that not the best thing for an autistic kid. um what else? In the classroom, the noises, they used to really overload me. I know a lot of children with autism can't stand the chalkboard, or even I think any child has an issue actually with that, the chalkboard that. But that was the least of it for me. It was just the different conversations at once, or I mean, um, having to focus on someone talking consistently for, that's why these videos will be short, because I know how it is. You don't want to listen to someone go on and on and on for a long time. And also, I'm going to have to try to train myself. I'm new at this. Full disclosure. So I do have to train myself to look at the camera, to look at you. Apologies for looking away. Um, but anyway, let me try to get back on track. Communication challenges and strategies. Okay, so a lot of this I did pretty much briefly go over. Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, in the 70s, it was pretty much a different atmosphere. Also, it was a different time. Children as a whole did not communicate their needs. At least that's what I think. As much as now today, they have more of an empowerment, more of a freedom to speak up as a whole. So I think children with autism also feel more comfortable or free to express their needs to their teachers, to their parents, to their caretakers, or when they're struggling, or when something's not working right, or when they're just uncomfortable in a setting. I think they're more apt to speak up, as opposed to when I was younger. It was more like, you just kind of like will be where you're supposed to be, and that's that. And you just use your coping mechanisms as best you can. But what I would like to add to what you may not know, that a therapist or a teacher may not tell you about your child, and maybe your child may not be able to express this as well, is, I've been learning a lot about spirituality, and it's helping me to see that there are parallels to enlightened beings, spiritually enlightened beings, or people who are more sensitive tend to be more, how can I say this, on a higher vibration spiritually. So instead of looking at autism as a deficit, or very unique, but maybe not in the way of a negative way or a disadvantage. It may be that this person in this society, and the way that things are prioritized and honored, does not benefit a child with autism or a person with autism as much as if we had a society that was more prioritizing spiritual beliefs And when I say spiritual, and I'll get into that in other videos, that's so much at once. I don't want to do that. But spirituality meaning love. If you just want to, the basis to me anyway is coming from, it's simple. It really is. It's love, which branches out to mean all these other things like respect and acting from a pure intention and other things. But basically, children with autism tend to be very authentic, honest, pure in a way that they are living in a way where the important things matter and the other things are just fluff. You know what I mean? So we may not make small talk or value that, but how important is small talk at the end of the day? That's just for instance. There's so many ways that autistic children compare to people that are spiritually enlightened, as far as being sensitive to sound, sensitive to energy in the room. You may not even know why you want to be out of that room as an autistic child, but it's your energy. You're picking up on, the place may have bad energy or it's just not right for you. You're more sensitive than someone else without autism, perhaps. That may just be, not picking up on any vibe or any signal that this is not the place for them. Even I was watching a video the other day, and I was surprised to find that when you're enlightened spiritually, that you will all of a sudden not like the taste of certain foods. We know that people and children with autism have an issue with foods, and being very, what they would call picky or choiceful, but that also happens with spirituality. And I think that maybe autistic children or people are just ahead of their time. And if we start looking at it that way, we will stop this. And not everybody does this, but a lot of people, friends, family, they kind of feel bad for someone with autism. Oh, your life's going to be harder, or wow, isn't that a shame, or whatever you're feeling. Yeah, I guess you're right, because the society and the way the world, we've created this world to be, and our priorities don't support an autistic person. But people with autism are not less than, and it shouldn't be that the world is more challenging for them. I think we actually are marching toward a world that is actually more accepting, open-minded, and valuing children or people with autism and people that are highly sensitive, spiritually enlightened. I do believe that day is coming, and we are marching toward it quickly. And I, for one, can't wait. But, I guess that's why I'm here, to try to plant seeds in people's minds, to stop thinking of it that way. I guess that's where it would start. If you would stop thinking negatively about it, and try to use comforts, and we'll get into that in another video, ways, practical everyday ways and situations where you can help your child get out of the door when they just don't seem to be able to leave for that important appointment. Steps that you can make just to make their life easier and yours, and less stress. Because with children with autism, the more you rush them, the more just for instance, to get out the door, the stress of it, they feel that energy. It actually will slow them down. It will actually, like a deer in headlights, some kind of sensation where you're just stuck because of the pressure. You have to alleviate the pressure. And with schools, it's so designed for that pressure. Unfortunately, where classes start and stop at certain times, and and yes, a child with autism will have that will kind of be trained to depend on that reliability where, okay, I know that I have to be there at 9 o'clock. I know that I have to be there. But that doesn't mean they're not living with tension and stress. And I don't know if that's actually healthy. You know, I don't know if that's a good thing for them to have to deal with year after year, event after event, appointment after appointment, class after class. And I don't think that we think about that, but I think we should. So I'm going to stop that here, at least for now, and then I'll pick up on the next video with some day-to-day practical advice that I think will help you. Different scenarios that might cause stress for children with autism, and especially in school-age children and all that life entails. Just from my point of view, if it doesn't work for you, maybe it may work for another, person or a child with autism. So I love tarot and oracle cards. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to just pick a card. Oops. Seems like they want to be picked too many. Let me pick a card and read it to you. And this is from the Daily Guidance from Your Angels. It looks backward in the camera. Oracle Cards by Doreen Virtue. And it says R-L-A-Y. I don't know if you can see that, okay? Beloved one, it's time to set aside work for a while. Don't worry. We will oversee your responsibilities to their completion. Playfulness, gaiety, and laughter will lift your energy so that you'll return to work with a renewed perspective and heightened energy. Doesn't seem to apply to our topic today, but then again, maybe it does. It's saying, like, basically to have a playful attitude, to live with levity, Don't worry so much. So perhaps that is the angels talking to us after all. Thank you for being here. I wish you lots of love, light, and enjoy your day. See you next time.